This week on Media Delta, Flash Gordon. Wait, Gordon's alive? Hello and welcome to, I guess, technically a special episode of Media Delta because this is episode 52 of Media Delta, which means that it's been one full year since we started this. So yeah, I guess you'd like. I don't have any poppers on me, but yeah, it's we've been a year, and we're gonna take a look at a very interesting movie because I actually handpicked this movie because I was thinking of movies to celebrate 1 year with, and I was thinking of movies that I particularly like. That I didn't want to pull the let's just do whatever the hell I felt like card quite yet, but there was an Atari 2600 game based on this movie. And we played it, so therefore it makes qualified. We're talking about Flash Gordon today, particularly the 1980. I probably should have had the thing. What 1980? 80? This is 1980.
Yeah, it was a quick cash in on the Star Wars craze.
Yep. Oh yeah, I suppose that would be weird to think about like that, but yeah.
A lot of things try to cash in, so it makes sense.
It's a weird thing. The entire reason this movie exists is because of Star Wars.
It is fucking Star Wars. Now you mention it, yes, you're right.
Yep.
It's Star Wars, but with
It is
early.
why they made Moonraker.
But aggressively British.
Yes, incredibly British. So yeah, I was not the only one to watch this movie. So please introduce everyone here in alphabetical order.
Hi, I'm X, and I'm here for perfect hair.
Hello, I'm Norman Rafferty, and this morning's unprecedented solar eclipse is no cause for alarm.
Hi, I'm Risen, and all I have to say is fly, my Hawkman.
I'm Torpid Typist, and I'm here to misunderstand football.
Yes. So yeah, Flash Gordon has definitely been a thing that's been around for since the 30s, if I remember correctly. It was like one of the first like little mini things that were shown in like theaters.
Basically, yeah. Well, Buck Rogers, people know vaguely about that, which was a comic. It started as a novel, turned into actually starts as a comic strip. My bad. So this is a comic strip, and it has two things. It's incredibly racist and badly drawn. So eventually they got this guy named Alex Raymond, who was a good illustrator. He illustrated for fashion magazines and said, hey, could you do a ripoff of Buck Rogers, but drawn well? And he created Flash Gordon. And so basically continuing this ripoff trend. So Flash Gordon was pretty popular for several years, had several iterations. And I got to mention this. So there's a parody of Flash Gordon called Flesh Gordon, which is an X-rated parody. And I have to mention that because two things about that movie. Number one, the special effects are amazing. And number two, the people who did the special effects in that movie were hired by George Lucas to make the special effects for the first Star Wars: A New Hope movie. So once again, it's I was mentioning this beforehand. It's like, yeah, this is a Star Wars trend.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. The more that you say that, yeah, the more that this is definitely a Star Wars with you fit in somewhere, because this movie is very incredibly British. Even though I don't think that, because the one person that I know that is like associated with this movie is Lorenzo Semple Jr., who is one of the, if I remember correctly, one of the key creators of the 60s Batman. If not, I think there was something involved with that. I can't remember which part. Okay, so Lorenzo Semple Jr. did the screenplay for this. Also apparently wrote Never Say Never Again. Okay. Oddly enough, I guess they're not mostly known for Batman.
Dino De Laurentiis production. Am I mistaken on that?
Let's see. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not seeing it on IMDb, but nonetheless, yeah, there are some people behind this movie that make it a very interesting movie. So I guess we should probably just, get this out of the way, and actually go to the questions that we have. So Axe, what were your general impressions of this movie?
So I kind of went into it kind of thinking that I wasn't going to really enjoy it, and halfway through the film, I'm like, yeah, you know what, I like this. I'm actually enjoying this quite a lot. Um, it kept my attention during a time where I'm really having a hard time just watching anything, and I enjoyed it for this the effects, the characters. It's just there's just a lot of stuff going on that it kept me interested with just constant stuff happening. It didn't really like falter at any point or feel like it was dragging on. Every scene felt like it fit and was moving the movie along in a positive direction. Um, it was very bright, lot of bright colors and you know different colored set pieces, and just it really tried to stand out. Yeah.
So yeah, is there anything in particular you want to mention?
The leader of the Hawkmen
Yeah,
is
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
He wasn't at he wasn't at first kind of a coward, but then when like he turns around and starts to like actually be a leader, he's overall he's just great. He's extremely extra.
There is a reason why people like like Brian Blessed is probably the most notable person in this movie. Like he is probably the one outside of
Yeah.
maybe Timothy Dalton that people
Yeah.
recognize. Also Max von Sydow. That
I was gonna say Max von Sydow, like, dude.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
like, but also Brian Blessed turned into a British staple after this movie.
He has a really good voice, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Claudius probably did not help or hurt that either, but yeah.
But yeah, he was my favorite part of the movie.
He is a lot of people's favorite part of that movie, and I completely agree with them. That's Volton. One thing that we did want to not clarify, but to confirm that yes, this is a Don De Laurentiis production. So yeah.
Here's the Evil Dead movies.
So did you have anything else to add, X?
Oh no, that was it.
All right, Rafferty.
I'm going to agree with a lot of what Axe said. This is, I'm just going to say, this is the best of the Star Wars ripoff movies, and I think it's great the way they. It has a very good pacing. Like sometimes people will try to talk you into movies like Legend or Krull or I don't know, like some other movies you don't know what's going on. They're slow or they have weird scenes. This movie, something's always happening. It's usually pretty weird. A lot of people are shouting and hammy. Brian Blessed knows what movie he's in. Timothy Dalton is perfectly cast as the Baron. Max von Sydow. Everyone is great. Nothing. Also, they just jumped whole hog on the 1930s. They kept the rocket ships with the spears on the front. There's lightning fields. They decided to make outer space some sort of weird psychedelic paint rather than a starfield, which is a weird decision, but it makes like a later scene where they're dueling over a pit. Like, you know, if it was just a black void of space, it wouldn't be interesting. Instead, it's some weird kind of pit. And so it makes you feel like you're in an otherworldly fantasy. That's the good part. The bad part is the writing is kind of incoherent. The acting isn't the greatest. Some of the dialogue is cringy. Flash, I love you, but we only have 14 hours to save the Earth. It's, I think, a lot of people's favorites. And then we go back to the music, because the music is amazing. They decided, let's hire Queen, the rock group, to do the music. And they do it all. Like, they do, like, the Attack of the Hawkmen. They do the bridal theme.
Yeah,
Like,
The wedding
Yeah.
music is rocking. It's kind of hilarious, actually.
they got Queen to do the ceremonial music.
I mean, I guess, you know, this movie just goes hard, and that can be very infectious. It can be very fun to watch. It's I think I need to get really high and watch this movie. I think that would be for the best.
It
So
would probably improve the experience, yeah.
yeah, and I salute them for, like, even though they knew that Star Wars had just come out, was a tribute to the 1930s serials, they made something that was Flash Gordon first, and I think they tried really hard, but later when we get into the nitty gritty on things, they weren't always successful. But there's nothing else like this movie.
That is very much true.
Well, except Star Wars.
Well, that's a different discussion because there are things I would, if they took from this movie, that I think would improve Star Wars, but that's definitely not the direction they want to go with.
Ooh, I got to hear that. But yeah, that's my comment.
So, all right, Risen.
I'm gonna. I didn't get bored watching it. Like, I've seen this movie before, so it's nothing like new to me. I have to say that I think the most important aspect of it is like the Queen soundtrack, the like hammy acting, the interesting visual design and everything. Like, as Rafferty said, it is very much still aligned in that like 1930s futurism that makes it stand out. I'm not going to mistake it for any other science fiction property out there. I guess like all of this stuff adds together that I find that it kind of has an infectious energy, just like Queen's guitars, the acting, the pace that it keeps going. Like, it has a decent pace. Like, it doesn't really take a huge break at all. The stakes are always escalating. There's always something happening. There's always some rivalry, getting worked out or something. And I think, it's an enjoyable watch. Like, it's not necessarily like a great movie, but it's, at least a fun movie.
Yep. Is there any particular thing you'd want to bring up?
I do appreciate the time that they took in terms of like costume design to make sure like all the different, like, they call them moons. The moons of Mungo are like, their cultures are different. You would not mistake the Arborians or whatever, led by Timothy Dalton, for the Hawkmen under Brian Blessed.
Nope, that's definitely for sure.
So it makes sure that those factions are very distinct and everything.
Yeah. It's almost kind of, if you think about, like, to put it in kind of, because I don't know why this is the thing that I thought of, but if you think about, like, in video game terms, it's like the different factions in Breath of the Wild, how they're all kind of share the same landmass, but they are all very completely different.
The people of Lure wear different clothes than the people of Kakarika or whatever.
Yeah. So, I forgot what I was going to say. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that covers it until we get to the other questions.
All right. Torpo.
Yeah, so it basically being Star Wars explains why I didn't really like it that much. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was okay. The pacing was fine, all that. I did think that the set design and the costume design were both very good, even if the effects themselves kind of aged like crap. That said, the writing was terrible. It was absolutely fucking terrible.
Yep. It's yeah.
Like, I still love Flash and what's-her-face falling in love and proposing despite not even knowing each other for a day.
Dale Arden is the other.
Dale Arden.
Yep.
Dale, yeah, good old Dale. Yeah, no, there was no chemistry between the two of them. There was none whatsoever. They met on a plane, barely knew each other, and suddenly marriage proposal within less than 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's that at the very least. There's the one, God. At least the lady who was incredibly thirsty for Flash Gordon made more sense because she was incredibly fucking thirsty for him.
Yeah.
Fucking Thirstmaster General, even if she was an idiot about it.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the main character, Flash Gordon, apparently he's a quarterback who really likes to tackle.
Yeah.
So, if they had chosen another position, but they clearly didn't, and that. But Flash himself has no personality at all. He is incredibly fucking bland, but also magically fails upward. I cannot say there's a single point in the movie where I really felt like he earned a victory, aside from maybe the one fight. But even then, that was kind of handed to him at the end. But in general, he's just kind of lucked his way through life up to the very end, and it's almost frustrating to watch how this man is so bafflingly fucking lucky and stupid all at the
Yeah.
same time. And so he just continually fails upward until he beats the big bad. And it's fucking depressing almost.
Beats the big bad by stabbing him with a spaceship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
It
not
was
a good kill.
no, and he doesn't even kill him though. Like he fucking blasts himself.
Yeah.
It's just
Anticlimactic.
yeah. I just the writing is what really kills it for me because I really like the intricacy of all of the costumes. I will say they were all very detailed, very very carefully put together. It felt like to me at least because there was a lot of detail in every last outfit. They were all colored distinctly and made to look distinct based on where they're from, and it was like it was actually I thought probably the real selling point of that movie. Uh, I thought the sets were also pretty well done, very colorful, very well painted, except for the fart dimension, but that's not surprising. It's a swamp, and swamps fucking suck.
Yeah.
Including in real life. If you've never been to a swamp, don't go to one. They smell, they're humid, and they feel like shit. But yeah, so like in general, I thought it was an okay movie, but the writing is what really bogs it down because it is an incredible comedy of errors that allows Flash to win,
Yeah.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only time he took it into his own hands to kind of do something was when they were doing the stick the hand in the hole and he fainted
Which
out.
was all luck.
Yeah.
It was
That
all
was
luck. I mean, I guess like the one thing is he did trick Timothy Dalton. Like
Yes, that I will give him.
that's
He
the
did
one
actually
bit,
do
but
that.
like at any point prior, if the little creature inside the stump decided to stab him, he'd be dead.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fucking. I don't like Flash. I don't like Flash at all. Ming is just a comedically evil villain who's just kind of there to be evil and to like a ridiculous degree too. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed some of the side characters mostly because it's one of them's like fucking Brian Blessed being Brian Blessed doing Brian Blessed. It's don't even need to mic that motherfucker up like, but in general, I
Yeah, Brian Blessed doing Brian Blessed things, including actually goosing the actress who
that's
plays.
not great.
Yeah, that part. The problem
That
is
was
like
not good.
when you first hear about it, like, oh, that's like, oh wait, that's actually really bad.
Yeah, that's not good.
Because yeah, if there is a scene when Dale is first brought into the Hawkins kind of area, you see basically Bolton walk behind Dale, and you see Dale kind of just jump forward into the prize. Yeah, that is actually that he shouldn't do, but it was also the 80s, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, so that's my 2 cents.
Yep. So yeah, like I said, this is. I keep on going back and forth about whether or not I think this is one of my favorite movies. Because I feel like this is a movie that I'm very glad that it exists. But actually watching it this last time has made me realize that it's like, oh yeah, there are some parts of this movie that are just kind of not great. The parts that are in this movie that are really good and really kind of dumb and kind of fun to watch, but it is a movie that, like, watching it and like it's a fun time. But yeah, this is a jank ass movie. And it's if you're going in this to like you kind of need to know what you're going into beforehand because you kind of need to be in the right mindset to watch this movie. Because you're gonna try and watch like an actual sci-fi thing, you were going to be sorely disappointed. But if you want to see a British ass train wreck of a movie, well, like taste train wreck, I guess, then you're in for a treat. Yeah.
still reminded of how fucking terrible watching the ships move through space are, but also the beautiful fucking green screen moment of all the Hawkmen in space.
It's
Yes.
That
great.
and Flash on his little scooter.
Yeah,
Just wiggling around, vibing.
The
Yeah.
space bike, yeah. Everyone loves the space bike.
And just how completely, like, just thinking about the mechanics of it and the way he's like strapped into it, and not even strapped into it, he's just got a little bar that he puts his ass on, like how that would fly through space. Like, no, just no.
Just vibing in space.
I like the fact that on IMDb, one of the like, you know how IMDb has like screen like pictures for the movie. I like that one of them is a picture of Freddie Mercury in concert wearing very short shorts and the Flash T-shirt that has his name on it. Oh, also we lost.
Oh shit! Fuck.
Hey, future Lolo here. The thing we used to record our podcast had major issues at this point. So there was a segment here in which basically we had to fumble around to figure out to make sure what we can get working. Obviously, since you were hearing this, we could hear that we could figure out something. So that is why there's a weird cut here. Also, if you hear any reference to it, that is why. So yeah, we had slight issues, but we were able to recover. So I'm going to leave you off where we, eventually recovered. So back to the show.
This is kind of a jank movie.
Yeah, it's a very jank movie that I'm kind of glad exists.
I never thought of it that way, but yeah, you're right. It's like, it's lovable but terrible.
Yeah.
And it's got enough of its own identity to set itself apart from Star Wars while still trying to be a part of what Star Wars was.
I mean, the movie I want to compare it to is Tron. Like, Tron and Flash Gordon both are big special effects movies. They wanted to lure people in. They wanted to be an action movie. And Tron is boring and airless and confusing, whereas Flash Gordon is active and
colorful and
confusing, but it's so fast-paced you don't notice. Whereas a movie like Tron, you're just going like, what's this guy with the weird penis hat?
It's like a fucking Child of the Paper and Crayon. It's messy but fun.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a...
Which I can at least say about it. At least things happen. Things don't stop happening, and I will give it that as much as I complain. It just doesn't stop.
Yeah, and they're fun to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack rocks. Yeah, it's an amusement park.
Soundtrack literally rocks, yes.
Yeah.
God, the fucking wedding march was so... that's still... I fucking hated that moment so completely, actually.
I mean, there's also something that's associated pretty closely to that segment that is, I think it's great, but it's also really stupid, which is the last line from that robot. Trying to remember what the exact quote is. So it's some. Oh, hold on, I need to get the exact. It's got to be listed here. Yes. Long live Flash. You have saved your Earth. Have a nice day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was such a weird fucking scene. I'm like, what the fuck?
Because they're like setting up this like robot is like gonna kill him or something or do something, like, oh no, Emperor Ming is dead, but his like soldiers and his automatons are still working. And then just long live Flash, you have saved your Earth. Have a good day.
The have a good day is really the thing that sells it.
It's like they didn't know how to fucking end it. So that's what they came
It's
up
definitely... That's like one of the last lines in the movie, right?
No, the last lines I think is... I forgot what it is.
It's like him being like king, or Timothy Dalton's character, like, I'm going to be the new king and I'm going to do all of these good things.
I know one of the last things is the Hawkmen forming Thanks Flash in the sky.
Yeah.
God, that was fucking awful. But
the other thing with the little robot, though, is that, like, after it says, like, its line, he jumps up like, yeah!
Yeah, no, they do the freeze frame jump.
It's great.
It's such a bad ending. Oh my god, but I love it.
Oh wow! According to IMDb, it was an improv, as no one else could figure out anything better.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right, actually.
Yeah.
I hate and love this movie at the exact same time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just really quick, I want to say shout out to fucking Flash's big himbo energy. I appreciate a man who is so up his own ass that he wears a shirt with his own name on it.
It's really good.
Just me wearing a shirt that just says Torpo all the fucking time.
Just in big, bold block letters.
Exactly.
It's been bedazzled, actually.
All the whole thing's been filled in with gems.
Also, it's sleeveless.
But not just sleeveless; they're ripped. It's
Well, the
ripped
best part about the Flash on his shirt was it wasn't just like some normal ass text. There was like a style to it, a look. That was some logo design on his chest.
Yeah. I want that shirt.
I don't.
But anyway,
Where?
I've seen it on sale places. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
yeah.
okay. Just wanted to check some recording. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. We should actually probably talk about the characters in this movie because we've kind of briefly discussed it, but kind of go a little bit deeper in. So, Torpo, what are your thoughts on the setting / characters of this?
You can definitely feel when the setting's from, is what I'll say. I've largely said like it's just that sort of like goofy schlocky sci-fi kind of deal that just is a bunch of humans in space, but also from different planets. Like they're technically different like alien species, but they all look like people, just all of them. And it's just that kind of deal. Like they don't even do the sort of like rubber mask thing or anything. It's just their people.
Oh, you forgot about the freaky puppet people.
Oh, there were
Oh,
the freaky
right.
puppet people. That's
Yes,
right.
Oh yeah, there
I
were.
tried my best to forget. But go on. But yeah, it's just that sort of setting, like just people fucking casually floating around in space, flying in space with their wings, their sweet hawk wings. But just in general, it is of a time. It's that I'm not necessarily a huge fan of, but I can see people enjoying it. And I would say that the characters I've largely said my piece on. Like Dale's just kind of there to be the damsel. Flash is Flash. Brian Blessed is Brian Blessed. Like the Arborea guy actually goes through some character development. Is kind of neat actually, but and then there's the princess who's Thirstmaster Supreme. But
She has her own special planet built
for
for
fucking I wish I could have my own fuck moon. Like goddamn. Yeah, I as I said, I've largely said my piece. I feel like others will be able to expand on it a bit more meaningfully.
All right. Let's see. Risen.
It's definitely unique, and I think that's the important thing about like any Star Wars inspired media or trying to like ape Star Wars' success. You know, because like there were a lot of them, and like I know I'm never watching Tron again. I can't really think that I'd want to watch Moonraker, which is also very much trying to capitalize on the Star Wars fad. Because like an important thing to note with Moonraker is like the one before it, they said James Bond would return for your eyes only, but because Star Wars did so well, they're like, shit, we got to go to the moon. We need James Bond to go to space. So like I could like see myself, you know, maybe not like the next month or so watching Flash Gordon again, but I think I could watch it again, you know, just because like the characters are interesting. The world, like to a degree, is fully realized. Like you can kind of understand like the air quotes geography of Mongo, but I do think it would have been interesting to see, you know, more of like the other people, like the other subjugated people under Ming instead of just Arborea and the Hawk people, but obviously they only have so much time, so like you wouldn't want to bloat the movie either. So, I think that's everything I really want to say that I haven't already talked. Like I can't really comment on like its faithfulness to the source material because I've never seen the source material or read it or anything. So, yeah, I think that's my piece.
All right, Rafferty.
It's not very faithful to the original material that much at all. I mean, like they changed Flash Gordon from a polo player to a football player, which I think makes
It's fair.
I mean, no one. I mean, no. I think having Flash Gordon be a polo player would be great. Like, there's so much of this movie that's just half baked, and the more I'm reading the notes on it, the more it was like. You've got like a Joel Schumacher thing going on with the crew here, where they're just, it's got to be big, it's got to be funny looking. Half our crew speaks a different language than everyone else, but that's okay. I don't want to be fooled by words, which is a comment here on IMDb. And then you had apparently Sam Jones just like disappeared during production, like he just left. So when you ask like the characters, it's like there are some good actors hired here. I think Timothy Dalton and Brian Blessed and Sydal, I think, are serious about it, and they're good actors. And then you have characters like Melody Anderson who doesn't have anything to do. Like they didn't give Dale any lines, so the characters are improvising stuff. Like Sam Jones improvs like stuff, and no one's reining anyone in. And so that's what makes the movie, like you said, very jank. It's kind of like everybody seems to be in a different movie. And none of it, like the original comic, it's like Flash is like, hey, someone's doing something evil. I'm going to go grab a sword and fight it hand to hand. And Dale is a little more dynamic than a lot of your 1940s stuff. And Zarkov is there to solve any techno problem. And they deal with a lot of monsters. There's not a lot of monster fighting in this movie. I think the only monster when he falls in the swamp, right? And the tentacles come up to grab him.
Yeah, there's also the one in the stump where you stick your head.
Right. Wait, but I mean those are barely monsters. I'm glad they had the spike pit, because not only is the spike pit pretty iconic and they use it for an iconic death, but that's true to the spirit of the comics of two guys physically altercating, using weapons, like because Dalton Prince Baron clearly knows how to fight. But like you said, the problem is like, I mean, compare this to another dealer on this project, Army of Darkness. What Bruce Campbell and, I guess when they're being directed by Sam Raimi can direct actors to look like they're failing upwards. Like they look like they're seriously in trouble. They have reaction shots that show that they're in trouble. But, when somebody like Ash fails upwards, you're rooting for him. You feel his pain. Or Harrison Ford used to be good at that when he was Indiana Jones. You feel that. In this movie, you're not... The struggles are abstract, and Flash wins by so much blatant luck in this movie that you don't really get that sense of stakes. And that's why we're all sitting here talking about the movie looks good, it sounds good.
Now recording.
We're now recording. But none of the you don't feel for any of the characters, and that's a real serious fan of the movie.
What was the name the name of the guy they had with them? I keep forgetting his name.
What, Clytus?
No, that one with Flash and Dale.
It's the guy that
Hans Zarkov.
Professor Hans Zarkov, formerly at NASA, has offered any explanation. Yeah, and he's like, don't forget, he's like an asshole who holds them at gunpoint to tell them to come on the ship, and he's nothing but a total asshole. And he doesn't do anything except defeat mind control.
Yeah, remember when they tried to brainwash him and then just kind of never talked about that ever again?
Yeah, I mean,
how did he break out of the mind control? He
kept thinking about Shakespeare and different things.
Right, and it's kind of like that would be more exciting, but he doesn't bounce back. He's not the guy who like we need him to turn off the lightning field or something like that, or he doesn't like hotwire the spaceship so they can take off in it. He doesn't do any of that, and also Dale doesn't do anything. She I think the apparently the cheer scene where she's going, Joe, go Flash, go. go Flash, go. That was improv because she literally has nothing to do.
Mhm.
That's why I compared it to like, you know, a Joel Schumacher Batman, where it's like we don't know what to do with any of these people, but we spent a lot of money on sets.
It's also great because they had Dale at one point get a handmaiden drunk so she could get out, and that amounted to literally nothing.
Yeah, because she fairly immediately got picked up by Hans Zarkov and everything.
Yeah, so that's where, and that's also where I was like comparing this. That's why Tron is on my mind. Tron has the same problem where we don't know who any of these people are, and Tron's even weirder because they're all talented actors. You've got Box Leitner, you know,
Jeff Bridges.
Bridges, David Warner. All these people are good actors and have been better in other films. So, I mean, Jones I've seen in other movies, and but yeah, it's just so like if you're asking about the characters, it's like there's no characters. It's sound and fury signifying nothing.
Yeah, pretty much, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
it's part of what frustrated me. Like what's happening on screen, just like a bunch of shit keeps happening, things move, and sometimes it can be fun or funny, but like the actual characters themselves are barely there.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like that it's a movie that's at times entertaining in spite of the characters, not because of them.
Yeah.
It's the kind of hammy acting often where like the characters don't seem to know what they're doing.
Because they literally
I'm
don't.
expecting like an MST3K, you know.
Yeah,
kind of
it sounds almost like they had fuck all for direction half the time.
Yeah.
It seems kind of like a series of vignettes more than a coherent story, kind of in some cases.
Almost like TV episodes stapled together, yeah.
So, yeah, did you have anything else to add?
Oh no, I'm curious what Axe has to say.
All right.
Yeah, I kind of I have to agree with the general consensus. The characters are kind of the weakest part of the movie, and that comes down to the direction and the acting. There didn't feel like there was any real direction to anybody. It kind of felt like they would just say action and that's about it. There was no like discussion about how character motivation or anything like that. Just kind of point the camera, shoot, and be done with it. The settings, on the other hand, you know, the locations were really just all of them were really nice to look at. You know, they were interesting. I liked a lot of the stuff on the ships. Ming's ship. They had so many different sets for that, and each one of them was interesting to look at with just like different setups and layouts and you know different color schemes, and it's just disappointing that with all the stuff that they had behind them that they just kind of fell through character wise. Like you pointed out that for Dale was just there and just meant nothing to the film other than to be, you know, in distress, rescued, and then, oh yeah, I'm in love now. Just kind of like very, very one-dimensional characters throughout. And as much as the pacing of the movie itself was fine, the pacing for the characters, their arcs, weren't. For like I mentioned before with I forget the leader of the Hawkman's name.
Prince Fulton.
Fulton, yeah. His arc comes just super quickly. Like for the most part, he's kind of a coward and a bully, and then out of nowhere, he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be a good guy. What the hell? Just a complete 180 of his character in just a few short seconds, and it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't work super well. Flash is just like Torp said, it's himbo. That's his entire personality. And in some
it's a movie of himbos.
yeah, like you could look at other himbos like say Kronk from Emperor's New Groove. Very much a himbo character, but he had personality to go along with it, and he was charming and he was interesting to watch and listen to. Flash is just very, very dull. And then
He played a football, you know.
yeah, he
He played good
football.
at football.
Played
He was a quarterback.
who tackled people.
I feel like you're saying that in the same vein as I've covered wars, you know.
Oh, and
Yeah.
at least that's said with more conviction.
I guess the one good thing about him being a football player is that you do get to enjoy him tackling people or attempting to tackle people.
He tackled people all of like the one time.
And hit a bunch of people in the head of a weird jade football looking thing.
That was
Yeah.
really good. And then we just never thought about it ever again.
Yeah, it's like him being a football player could have easily have tied into a number of his skirmishes, and it just doesn't. We just kind of forget about it. It's there as just a piece of background. That's it.
Well, he does do that like first football thing, but yeah, after that they really needed more shots of him running or maybe throwing things, but they just forget. And apparently that's because that first scene they improv that, and the movie just ends with something else. You're right. They really didn't use Sam Jones's physicality.
Yeah.
Probably
Having
the-
like a MacGuffin that he could like catch and throw and everything, I think would have improved things greatly.
yeah, kind of like the disc from Rygar, something like that.
Or some actual stunts.
Yeah.
But like the only scene that really I think comes together perfectly well is the fight with Baron, I think his name was, on the
Yeah.
disc.
Prince Baron.
Yep, Prince
Yeah.
Prince Baron is great because it's Prince Baron.
Two different noble titles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is even Prince Baron doesn't do a whole hell of a lot, even though he's supposed to be part of the resistance, like the actual resistance.
So what I do like about that fight is it's him and Flash just whipping each other repeatedly, which would be, and then the spike's coming up too, and it seems like a fight, and Flash starts losing, so Brian Blessed fat fingers the fucking controller, and Flash ends up winning because of it, because the thing tilts over, and
Yep.
Baron ends up hanging off the ledge.
Yeah, it's the one scene of the movie that I think I thought it was the best scene, to be quite honest, because it felt cohesive all the way through. It felt like there was some actual direction to it. It felt like the actors knew what they were supposed to be doing. It's probably the best scene I think in the film. But yeah, that's what I think of the characters in the. I mean, yeah, you also have that dude. I've already forgotten his name. That was with them. That gets the brain wipe.
Zarkov.
Zarkov. Yeah, he's there, kinda.
He is there. He kind of just becomes like the person who's managing like Flash, you have so long to save the Earth.
Yeah, it's just weird seeing the main characters having very little to do, and then the secondary characters having even less to do, and everybody's just kind of going through the motions. It's kind of like I forget who said it, but it feels like it's disparate characters playing out different parts of a movie all at the same time. That's just what I thought of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You good?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I don't really have anything to add. Basically, everyone nailed it on that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just quickly go through this last thing because I think we've kind of already discussed this a little bit, but just a kind of quick summary. X, how do you feel about the budget and tone of this movie?
Oh my god, this movie has aged pretty poorly in a number of areas. Just the special effects in a number of spots are really shitty. In other spots, they're not too bad. They did good with the pew pew lasers. I like that. I was mad that it took so long to get to the lasers, but every time they used green screen, it was really obvious and it just looked really really raggedy. You could feel the budget from the start to finish. It wasn't a highly budgeted film at all.
I looked it up. The budget was 20 to 27 million.
Yeah, and you can feel it.
That's pretty expensive in 1979 dollars.
Yeah, that's actually a good
Yeah.
chunk of money.
That is, yeah.
Well, it
It
doesn't
went-
really show.
It
Is the
went
thing.
all
No.
into the clothing. It went all into the fucking
It
costume.
went on to the
design.
clothing and the set design.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, okay, so there's no CGI. So when they do the Hawk scenes, especially the coordinated thanks flash, that has to be optically composited with each unique model filmed with a camera. So that's like 20 or 30 camera passes, all that have to be synced frame by frame. So it's incredibly tedious, but it also doesn't look very good. So I don't know.
No.
So it is
Yeah.
very expensive, but that's what 27 million gotcha.
Yeah, and it proves that no matter how high your budget is, if you don't know what you're doing with it, it's not going to matter. Because this movie doesn't look or feel like a $27 million budgeted film for that time. It feels like it was done on like a couple $100,000, just from the.
I'd argue it's also a difference of technology at this point. Like, it is not aged gracefully is the
No.
problem.
Well,
No, it has not aged gracefully. But like you could do a lot better visual effects and other things at that time.
Yeah.
See the problem. I don't think so. Like it. A lot
Well,
of
maybe
that,
not a lot better, but I think there were some better ways they could have done it.
there were better people at matting and doing those effects. I mean, Industrial Light and Magic had some of the best people doing it. So there are better people that were doing it. But I mean, like all the money is like on screen. Like that lightning mote effect may look really cheesy, but it was really expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and also like don't forget their sets. Like holy crap! So there's that scene where Richard O'Brien goes to talk to Timothy Dalton. That's soundstage. That swamp had to be built from scratch, and all of that. I mean, compare this to say the movie Batman, which we also watched, where Batman's reusing sets from other movies. Like Batman has the nonsensical Ajax chemical factory, which doesn't look like a factory because it's a repurposed set. So no, I think all the money is on display here. It's just things didn't look very good in 1979.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have anything else?
No,
Yeah.
I'm good.
All right. Rafferty.
Yeah, sorry to I mean, because like I'm a special effects nerd, and so like a lot of effort. I mean, not just the costumes. The costumes apparently were weighing like 40 or 50 pounds, and
Yeah, you could fucking tell. Holy shit.
I mean, as much as that design work looked really good, but like the Hawkman scene, like this isn't like just copy and paste digitally. Like it had to be optically composited, and before they released the Star Wars special editions or Star Trek special editions, they didn't look that good either. But it's also a question of like, should they be doing this? Like the big complaint I have about the movie is that they spend all this money on special effects and on scenes, but there's never a good fight scene. Like you really needed to go to the Errol Flynn or even like the Indiana Jones Harrison Ford era. Or this
He
is
needed some more swashbuckling.
more swashbuckling. And this is one of the things I always love about Sam Raimi movies is when you go see like if you will watch Spider-Man, his Spider-Man movies, even though they have like a special effects technology they can only dream of in the CGI, he still makes sure to film mundane scenes where he films characters actually physically interacting with each other so you can feel grounded, so you can get reaction shots and that kind of stuff. A bunch of stuff that is not in this movie. There's like no good reaction shots. There's no good setup and payoff. It's just this movie has no direction. But the special effects, well, I still like the weird clouds thing. I think it was I think after, I mean, I would argue that after a point the movie leans in so badly to the weird special effects that maybe you don't notice them after a while. Like you can appreciate it on the same level, but I might just be weird. Maybe it's my nostalgia talking. So, I'm just going to summarize by saying this movie is more fun to talk about than it is to watch.
All right. Risen.
I think, I mean, I think the tone could definitely it's like serviceable. I do get the idea that this is a like high fantasy, sci-fi kind of action romp.
Science fantasy.
Yeah. I think I think the stakes could have been better, shown and everything. Like what is at stake? We just keep getting like 10 hours and the earth
You
is
just get shots of a watch occasionally, yeah.
yeah. Um and like I said, with like with like Rafferty's opinion, like I think they could have leaned more into like more of a swashbuckling nature, like give Flash a sword to do more sword fight with, right? You know, it could have been a bit like camp in a good way is almost the way that I want to say it. But as Rafferty said, like the Errol Flynn, like I would have loved to have like Flash, quipping, back and forth with like Baron in some better way or any other fight that he has, right? Um, she would agree. I get that's it going back to like the stakes and everything. Like Emperor Ming's, like a lot of his like ground troops, let's call them, are incredibly incompetent. So it's like they don't generate like any sort of threat. Like the scenes where Dale is escaping and she like fights a couple of like his troops and they're like looking in the complete opposite direction of her as she like, rolls up to them and shoots them or whatever. The same thing happened with like when Timothy Dalton was blasting through Ming's base. Um the fact that like every gun turret on in Ming's base was shooting at the rocket that Flash was piloting and everything. And like it's not doing anything. Like every shot is just going around it. Like people joke with like stormtroopers that they can't hit the broadside of a barn, but like, damn, can Ming's troops not hit the broadside of a barn? So like, I don't feel like there's enough tension to like the rising action. If I'm gonna criticize it for that, if that ramble makes any sense.
Yeah.
I have to agree with you, and I think it's funny when you say, the stakes don't feel high enough, but it's a movie about destroying the Earth.
Yeah, like he is going to slam the moon into the planet Earth, and like it comes down to like the wire, and it's like there were points in the movie like, how is the Earth being destroyed again? Does he have like a big laser or something? Like,
Yeah, they never touch on exactly how he's going to destroy the Earth, just that he's going to destroy the Earth. And like
Oh.
we mentioned before that there was always an escalation, but the escalations weren't really like super strong.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, as I said, like mostly it's just them looking at a watch. Like, oh, there's like 10 minutes left. You
And
just see a
Like,
shot of a
that's the
watch.
most. That's the most Hans Zarkov did. Was he just like programmed a watch to like when the Earth would be destroyed?
Yeah, and really, the movie doesn't even need that. It's like, Flash is, Ming's showing up. He's bombarding the world with death rays. He literally just kills Flash, and tries to brainwash, boyfriend, and is going to go on to do more evil things. We don't even really need all this stake stuff. It's just like Ming's evil. We need to take him out.
Just every time he's on screen, he's doing something that is just like comedically fucking evil.
Yeah,
Yep.
which like Max von Sydow played very well. So like I can't fault it there.
Yep. You good?
Yeah, I think that's everything that I need to say at the moment. So
All right, Turbo.
I mean, I have at this point. Got not
Yeah.
much else to say. I'm sorry.
Yep. Well. Yep. I like, also like I've said, I like the fact that it is cheesy nonsense and kind of bad, but also in a kind of good way.
It's pure schlock.
Yeah.
It's
It-
pure
yeah.
fucking-
It's pure schlock, and it makes a hole that is me-shaped.
I would agree. It's pure schlock, and okay, there's some things in it that haven't aged well, but that's why I keep comparing it like Joel Schumacher's Batman's, which also would be pure schlock. This is better than that, and that is damning with faint praise, I realize.
Yeah.
yeah, that is a good way to describe it.
All right. Well, I think we've kind of discussed enough about that, so I think we should probably actually get on to ranking this. So we're going to rank this using our normal 1 to 21 scale with the 3 extras as well for special cases. With 1 being absolute mastercraft, not really much you can do to make it any better, to 21, which is not even worth watching, even ironically. Axe, where would you put this?
For all the criticism we give it, I still think it's a good movie. I would be happy watching it again. I kind of enjoyed it. I put this as like a 6 or a 7.
All right. I'm here, but Torpo?
I like the movie. I'm not gonna feel bad about what score I give it.
Okay, so I still disagree about the placement of Tron. I'm gonna level with you there, but I think a 10 is alright.
Well, that's why we go down this list and see what everyone's thoughts are.
I still feel like Tron should be elsewhere, but otherwise,
But that is a different.
I would rather watch like Area 88 or Street Fighter, Pirates of Darkwater. Pirates or Darkwater?
Darkwad.
The
Yeah,
dog.
Pirates of
Fucking
Darkwater.
slip into my local accent.
Risen.
Being reminded of like Pirates of Darkwater and everything, I kinda there's a kindredness to them, if is what I would describe it. They both have like the same kind of failings of like meandering, directionless characters who don't quite make sense or what they're doing. But it's a decent like action romp to a degree. Like I didn't hate the action scenes in Pirates of Darkwater when like I watched it with you guys and everything. So I guess I would put it at like a 9 or a 10.
All right. Rafferty.
I was picking it over before this happened, and the more I look at this movie, the more there is not to like about it. I think some of the special effects, like technically impressive, haven't aged that well. I forgot that there is some uncomfortable stuff in this movie, because I'm an old person. Yeah, where did we put Darkwater? Pirates of Darkwater?
That's a 9.
That's a 9.
And that was you rated the whole thing at 9? You didn't
Yep.
rate part 1 and part 2 separately?
No, we did not do that separately.
Man, because I didn't realize it until you said it. This has a lot in common with Darkwater, where they really want to impress you with a lot of impressive visual. Darkwater had a better story. It just felt like Darkwater, they were trying too hard. Oh man, people are going to crucify me from this. But since 10 is still above the watchability threshold, I want to put my rating at 10 because do we put Tron at 10?
No, Tron's
Tron
at
is
7.
7.
Oh yeah, Tron's too high. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, exactly, right?
And also, if you go back to the recording, and if I gave it that high of a number, then punch me.
Got it, coach.
Yeah, because this movie.
Yeah, 10 is average. Like 10 is average.
It is actually
yeah.
slightly above average.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say 10 because there's the real way to appreciate this movie is to get the Flash soundtrack, which has clips from the movie, enough to get the whole plot, and just listen to that because that's what I have fond memories of because I'm an old person just listening to the soundtrack, and it cuts out all this crap. So
Yeah.
I'm going to rate this at 10, and I'm going to rate the soundtrack at 3. So put this at 10.
Fair enough. So I have a I don't know what to phrase it. I have a alternative proposal. I think that this should be a 69.
Okay.
How is 69?
Okay.
Because remember, we have available to us the 3 extra ranks.
Special designations.
What?
666.
So to put the comparison to Retro Ink Rhapsody, some stuff that we have in 666, or not in
Could you
666.
just explain what 69 is first?
So 69. There are the 3. We have 3 extra numerical ranks. I lost my thing. Which are 69, 420, and 666 because I am an adult.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
for immediate delta sake, we've already put something at 666, which is the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is the fascinating nightmare thing, which is so good it's bad, or so bad it's good.
So, re-looking at 69, I would vehemently disagree. But go on.
What is 69? You haven't said yet.
The title for it is Fever Dream. The description for it is has a sound foundation, but something about it elevates it in a way that competence can't. To compare it to some stuff we've done in Retro Rank Rhapsody, we have two games in 69. One is the first Funky Fighter, the other is Trio the Punch, which are.
Yeah, I'm with Torpid. I vehemently disagree. This is not a 69 movie.
This is too coherent to be a 69.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coherent. In fact, like Trio the Punch is, you keep watching that. It's got what the Ebert quality you would call show me something new. Like when you're playing Trio the Punch, it's like something new happens every level. It's just like, I curse you. Like, wait, we're sheep now, and there's a giant foot now, and we're fighting birds in the park. There's something new. Yeah. Whereas Flash Gordon, honestly, after you've seen the big fight sequence at the beginning, there's a middle part that's, just like, it's still action, but it still feels like a coherent movie. It's just the problems are obviously the lack of direction, because there's money clearly on display. There's optical effects that people clearly know what they're doing. Everything is mixed properly. There's nothing, bad. It's clear that just they didn't put enough thought into it. I think it's way too clear that the flaws of this movie are clearly incompetence.
All right. So in that case, let's see. So if we go through everyone's ranking, we have a span of 6 to 10, mostly hanging around 10, which I would honestly, if we were going to say like kind of around there, I would probably see 9 or 10 with this.
Also, really, just to also compare it to the first Funky Fighter. The first Funky Fighter is non-stop insanity. It just never relents in how fucking confusing it is. But going on, yeah.
In fact, one of the phrases we said for this movie is it's not confusing.
Yeah,
that is true.
It is pretty straightforward. Like, evil man wants to destroy Earth. Good man stop evil man. He makes friends along the way who help him defeat evil man.
Yeah, I think a good 69 is, well, like you want to keep going because it just gets louder and more obnoxious. And with Trio the Punch, you wanted to keep going because, something weird is going to happen. This movie is not something I would queue up to show people to say this movie is going to blow your mind. Flash Gordon's not going to blow your mind.
I think there's better movies with like soundtracks provided by a big name rock band that are more incomprehensible or insane than Flash Gordon.
You know, be a good 69. Fucking heavy metal.
Heavy metal.
There is a game based on heavy metal.
Yeah, I would fight you on that because I think heavy metal is just not very good. But no, I'm like.
What I'm talking about is more like Tommy or the Sergeant movie.
Tommy might be, or because it's in the news, Zardoz.
Yeah.
God, I would rather we not do anything with that man in it for a while.
Yeah,
I have very negative feelings about Sean Connery, but yes. Speaking
of confusing movies, but yeah, no. So I think we rated it a 10. I mean, it's a classic movie that a lot of people have. I'm gonna be my angry old man. It's a classic movie that a lot of people have fond memories of, but then you go watch it, and once again, that summary of, this isn't as good as I remember.
Well, it's also because you're going back at this point and watching it with like modern sensibilities, even if you do have like fond memories of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it in the day, but honestly, yeah, the Queen soundtrack is just way better. It's just like...
I still absolutely hated the Bridal March, though. Like, the Wedding March or whatever it is. Yeah.
I hate that. That's what makes it more awesome, because Torpid hates it.
No, it's...
Torpid hates weddings.
It's true, I do, actually, but that's unrelated.
I think it's a symbol, once again, of the lack of direction, because I think Brian May's signature, like, he nails is the ultimate rock and bridal march ever. It's a question of why is this in Flash Gordon?
Because why not?
Why
is
is
the big
Queen...
evil emperor doing a fucking rockin' ass bridal march? Like,
They got Brian May has to brandish Red Special to play that song.
I'm sympathetic to Lolo because this movie, like, it does have that 69 quality of no one told them they couldn't. So there's so much in this movie that's people doing things because they can, and it's hilarious. Like the yeah at the end. But I was like, even as like a 6-year-old kid, I was sitting there watching that, going, "Okay, this is too much." Even.
Yeah. That being said, if we kind of average our things together, I do feel like 9's a pretty good spot for it. Because just thinking about from my personal taste, I would much rather watch this over, say, Nickelodeon Guts or the Wizardry OVA.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I feel putting it in that same. It's also right next to the Street Fighter movie, which I feel is perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would rather watch the Street Fighter movie personally, but
Yeah, I would. Well,
I don't know. I'd
It's
rather watch this than the Street Fighter movie.
It's also the thing to remember is that sometimes you can just also like plus and minus some of these like a couple ranks. So
also,
it's
part of the
yeah.
struggle here is like I am the only person who's been in every recording, so I fully remember every single one of these.
I mean, I also am in every single recording too.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'd rather
You
watch
dare
Area
quote
80.
the dark magics to Lola when he was
I-
forbidden witch?
My point is more like
Yeah.
I would much rather watch Area 88 over this, but like I can also understand wanting to see this over like Street Fighter movie.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think. Well, these are also broad number categories. I mean, we need
Yeah.
to accept that.
So yeah.
So like,
um,
I can feel. I understand. I'm not gonna fight it. That's a really weird hill to die on, actually.
As I say, we've had problems for the last like 4 episodes of us spending 20 minutes to bicker about a number.
That was like one time.
It was
Yeah, no,
2
this-
times because there was it was Doom and it was the Addams Family, which were right next to each other.
Yeah.
Putting this at like 9, it's like it's a movie that a lot of people have fond memories of. They even made that stupid Ted movie, the teddy bear movie that pulls this out. It's Sam Jones's most iconic movie, but there's also like a lot. Once again, I think this is the right category of it's a fun to watch movie, and it's fun if you watch it with other people and talk about it. So that's kind of like a 9. Where if you put this on at a party, maybe you might have fun. I did hear that they're starting to put warnings on this movie of warning painfully 70s. So there might be a little cringe there, but no, I think this is a good spot. I mean, I would recommend the movie, but I would pause. It's no Tron.
Yeah.
That's going to be
Tron's gonna be the contentious point for a while.
That's going to be
That's gonna
be the Trio of the Punch pre 66 or 69.
You mean another fucking hill for me to die on? Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
as I say, there was another one that was like that, and I forgot what it was.
I've gotten angry about a handful of rankings that I felt were undeserved, but yeah.
I think it's a weakness because you're using a rank instead of being like a point-based system where we say give it this many points based on this categories and then rank it. Like I've seen another, we're doing a list thing of where we're picking where it goes in the list. And I think that is the problem when the apples are getting compared to the orange.
It's the problem of hey, everything has a sort of weak point, and this is this one's.
Yeah.
Also, I'm for some reason blanking on what to put for genre. I would
That's
say
why we
Science, fantasy, sci-fi.
I mean, I have science. No, I have sci-fi.
I
Yeah.
think it's just sci-fi.
And then this, like, I guess I would put this Space Force. Even though I kind of feel like it should be a genre of sci-fi tone of whimsical, or maybe even silly.
I would put it.
Silly, I would agree with.
Do you have not give a fuck?
I mean, that's silly.
Then silly it is.
Yeah, we'll put that for now.
Are your men on the right pills?
Yeah.
Execute that traitor. Silly.
I had to remember why for a second. Why is there a peach in the music slot for Doom? And I'm like, oh right, it's butt rock. Which reminds me. So let's see, what do we want to call out for music, charm, cinematography, storytelling, action, and art. I'm already going to copy paste that thumbs up and put it in the music slot.
Camp
Yeah.
Charm.
Yeah, Campy
This
Charm.
movie's camp as hell.
It is campy,
Pretty
but
damn campy, yeah.
Dude.
Where do we file direction under? Do we file that under storytelling?
That would, I think, be more under cinematography.
Well, cinematography would also include special effects. The movie looks beautiful. It's just everyone's improv.
Actually, in that case, then yeah, that would be storytelling, which
Thumbs
Yeah.
down.
Thumbs down.
I mean, I think we didn't talk about it, but I do think like the shot-for-shot cinematography is pretty decent. Like, you know, there was no scene where it's like, damn, like this just looks really out of place. Like this was a bad decision, and like I could rattle off like a long list of things, but like, you know, I think the camera work was decent. Like I
it's all right.
lost track of the action. People were framed well. They highlighted the, you know, in addition to having these beautiful sets, you obviously have to frame them well, you know. I guess like the weakest point of the cinematography was the actual fight scenes, like the circle of doom between Baron and Flash.
I thought the Circle of Doom actually looked pretty good, but there's a problem where they have to composite it, and I think that there's no choreography. That is a huge problem with this movie.
Yeah.
No, lack of direction and lack of fight choreography means that everything is incoherent. If this was a modern movie, they would do a steady cam, wobble, jump cut, Jason Bourne, 19 cuts in a single scene to disguise that. This movie doesn't do that, and it shows.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do we want to handle art? Do we want to give a thumbs up?
I think we should.
I'd say so, yeah.
We all
No, once again, the set design and like the
Costume.
costume design both looked fucking great.
Yeah.
Like, man, I do not envy the people having to wear those costumes, because goddamn.
Oh man,
But-
IMDb said Max von Sydow's costume was 70 pounds.
Jesus!
Minutes.
Oh my god.
He just walks around in that, damn.
And
You live like this.
now that I think about it, he doesn't walk a whole lot in this movie.
Yeah,
No,
weird.
he kind
I
of
wonder why.
meanders slowly in most cases, yeah.
Weird. I wonder why.
I don't think enough to hide it, but yeah.
So if we're thinking yay or nay charms, there is a nay category that I definitely want to put in, and that is the boy, this was the X's, and in this case, this is really a 90s, 70s, or not 90s, 70s, 80s movie.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's appreciate that one of the feast items in the Hawkman's Kingdom was Twinkies colored with food dye.
Great.
I didn't even notice that. That's powerful.
Well, but there's so
Okay.
much stuff there. I mean, that's like pointing out that, like in one of the Star Wars movies, that techno thing that guy's carrying around is an ice maker.
Yeah. No, there's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that's reused for
God,
shots.
the fucking ice cream. There was an
Like,
act
repurposed, I should
with
say.
the ice cream maker. God damn.
Yeah, they had to apparently rebake it for one of the new movies, so they had to.
Yeah, so actually, I think this quote's very damning, I guess. Director Mike Hodges, referring to the production problems that plagued the film, once called it the only improvised $27 million movie ever made.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep.
And since then, he's been outdone because there was the 2016 Ghostbusters.
Let's see. Is there another charm that we want to put in? I mean,
I think we've got it covered.
yeah, I think. Oh, I'm looking at the. I was gonna say, why is there? Yeah, I don't think any of these other ones.
Oh, good. They struggled with language barriers too during the production
Great.
because they had both English and Italian crew.
Oh yeah, the IMDb says the translator they hired was a complete joke, and then Dino De Laurentiis just blew it off saying, "I don't want the words to get in the way of the story," which is not something you want to hear from the producer.
One thing I read on Wikipedia is that they actually had to dub Flash because like the guy quit near the end of production, so they're like, "Oh shit, we
Yeah,
need like to redub this, but he's not here, so we just need to get someone else to do it."
Yeah, like I said, this movie is way more fun to talk about than it is to watch.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that is going to do it for Flash Gordon. So before we head out, Axe, is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, just my Twitch, twitch.tv/AxeImmortal.
All right, Rafferty.
Coincidentally, over at sanguinegames.com, we've just we've been streaming on twitch.tv/Raktus, Raktus, Astounding Science, which is a tabletop role-playing game about pulp era sci-fi with like Martians and gadgets and all that kind of stuff in the same vein as Flash Gordon. So you can check us out. It's going to be for sale soon.
All right, Risen.
I sometimes appear in different people's streams, so you can find me there.
All right, fair enough. Torpo.
Twitch.tv/torpotypist and at torpotypist on Twitter. And I would like to plug the black hole beneath my murder arena.
Yeah. So yeah, that is going to do it for Flash Gordon. So we got something interesting heading out your way. That we got something pretty neat coming up, and we are heading. November turned into OVA season. Apparently, I don't know why. Well, I know why because I was in the mood for it. But we got some OVAs on your way with one of the best video game based OVAs to ever exist. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now, especially considering the other things we've seen from this franchise. Next week we're gonna be talking about the Sonic OVA.
I can't wait to see Knuckles in a cowboy hat.
It's a really good hat, which unfortunately can no longer happen.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ken Penders.
I'm just that meme where it's like Wolverine like looking at a picture and the picture is Knuckles in a cowboy hat.
It's really good. But yeah, that will be next week. So thank you all for listening. If you would like to look at the full list of rankings for yourself, please visit r3.ldp.life and go to the Media Delta list tab. If you would like to watch Media Delta's sister show, Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can either watch at youtube.ldp.life or by tuning into twitch.tv/LoadToPuzzlo at 7:30 p.m. on Fridays, 2:30 p.m. on Saturdays, and 1 p.m. on Sundays. All those times are from the Eastern U.S. time zone. If you would like to discuss this episode with the community, you can do so by joining our Discord server, which you can do so by going to discord.ldp.life. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you tune in for our next episode.